exactly do you want to do? Just take a quick second to answer it to yourself in your head right now. I actually want you to do this, by the way. Done? How many of you took a little pause before answering? I know some of you must have answered quite instantly, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer, an actor, I want to do an MBA. Clean, clear, linear. That's great. It's all right if your mind went blank though, if you couldn't come up with one clear-cut answer. Or maybe you have too many answers, which makes you think maybe you're confused, maybe you lack direction. Let me just hold your hand there for 1 second and tell you it's okay. Yeah, I see you. I'm Lavanya, and I'm 22 years old. And if you too are a teenager or in your 20s, basically that young adulthood phase of your life, this feeling is completely normal. I know growing up, we are taught something entirely different, to pick something early on, stick to it, master it. And while that advice actually does work quite beautifully for some people, for others, it's like wearing shoes that don't quite fit. I mean, you could still walk, but you'll just be uncomfortable the whole time. So it's quite a dangerous lie that we are told, that identity is something you must pick early on, or else you're falling behind. How many of you have felt that? Like you're falling behind in life, behind your friends, behind your own expectations, behind this imaginary timeline that we never even consciously signed up for. See, your 20s, they are marketed as this decade where you are supposed to figure it all out. But no one tells you that this is exactly the time where you feel the most lost. Unlike some people who seemingly have it all figured out with one passion, one career, a tunnel vision, one label. But what if identity isn't something you just randomly pick one day? What if it's something that emerges over time? What if this feeling of being lost isn't failure, but formation? See, feeling lost is not your personal failure. Let's get that out of the way first of all. It's just a developmental stage. You see, when you were a kid, the path was very clear. You have your school, you get good marks in the exams, and you move on to the next grade, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. When you were a teenager, the goals were still somewhat borrowed. But in your 20s, that is the first time the road splits. No one is walking ahead of you anymore. So life in this phase is like basically a GPS that constantly keeps saying rerouting, rerouting. And instead of trusting it, we panic. We think something must be wrong, which is completely normal, by the way. Curiosity can feel like confusion at times. Versatility can feel like a flaw. And then we start thinking, why am I so lost? So I'll tell you about myself first. I have grown up in an army family, which means growing up, I have changed more than 10 schools in my life. Every time I got adjusted to one place, my dad got transferred, so it was time to up and move again. So I never became one thing, I observed, I adapted, and I was introverted also on top of that, so a little drawn from social interactions. But funny thing, ironically, I was quite expressive when it came to one-way interactions, like on paper, on stage, and also in front of a camera. So that's when my social media persona was born. My first video, which I posted when I was just in 7th grade, with some help from my mom, just using it as an outlet for my creativity. I sketch, I paint, I write, I do oration. Academically also, I was well performing in school, so scoring well in 10th, 12th, boards, got into my dream college, Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University. So I could have maybe just stuck to that and done something academic, because that is what everyone around me also said, that you're good at studies, you should, prepare for these competitive government job exams that everyone was doing. Not that I was against it, but I didn't want to fit into just one box. So I continued my social media journey, where I have built a large online community today, by the way, posted more than 1,000 videos, no matter what's going on in my life, along with school, along with boards, college, and even while preparing for these competitive exams. So I appeared for exams like CDS, AFCAT, qualified the written in my first attempt, while consistently posting on my channel throughout. So listening to that, you would probably think, well, you seem to have it figured out. But earlier, for a long time, I thought maybe it means I was unfocused, maybe I was confused. But versatile people, they don't lack direction. They just discover it a little differently. So people ask me all the time, like relatives and stuff, when I go to a family function or something, what do you want to do in life? I mean, all this that you're doing is fine, but what is that one thing you want to do? Annoying question, right? We have all been sold this idea that successful people have always known what they wanted. But the more I tried to fit into that idea, the more exhausted I felt. Not because I was doing too much, but because I was forcing myself to be less than who I actually was. But here's the truth about me, perhaps about many of you as well, that we are not one thing. Society will give its own perspective of success. So our inner voice in that process, it gets muffled. We make uncertainty look shameful. But life right now, it's not supposed to be a map. Think of it more like a compass. A map, it tells you exactly where you need to go. But a compass only tells you the direction and asks you to walk. So what if the goal, the aim right now is not to arrive, but to explore enough to know which direction feels like you? Even if you've already entered one path, doesn't mean you can't do anything else with it. Just pick up that guitar and learn to play it like you always wanted to. Write that song, maybe play that sport, learn that new language, maybe audition for that role, you never know. Maybe film and post that video on that channel you always wanted to start. Basically, during this time of your life, you must not restrict yourself. You don't want to have regrets later thinking, I could have done more. I should have done more. Because rest all is unlimited. Money, fame, power. But the one thing that is limited is time. And it's also uncertain. So go all out. Go participate in competitions and events. Go on that trip with your friends. Go join that society in your college. Basically do it all. And I know how this sounds, right? I know it is a lot easier said than done. And that too in a country like India where social security is not very robust. So honestly, many people don't even have a choice but to become linear. It's more out of compulsion. So in that case, the solution would be either maybe taking a risk, or maybe you be linear at first to secure yourself, because then that will give you the freedom to diversify. So eventually, do diversify. Even in a world that rewards labels, you're either this or that, creative or academic, dreamer or doer, but the world, it doesn't belong to people who fit neatly into these boxes. It belongs to people who can adapt. Now, let's just take a step back for a second. So far, I have talked about people who perhaps have a lot that they want to do. Maybe some of you don't relate to it, totally understandable. Maybe you couldn't answer the question that I asked in the beginning, you remember? Maybe you're thinking, but there's nothing I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. Let me tell you, there is. There is something, just that you don't know it yet. All you need to do is step out and try. Or maybe you want to try, but you're scared. Maybe you're unsure. What if it doesn't work out? What if I'm not good at it? Has it ever happened? Have you ever tried something new for the first time and then instantly thought, oh, I'm really bad at this, so maybe it isn't for me? That exactly is the mistake. We treat first attempts like it is the final verdict. But trying something once doesn't mean that you have failed at it. It's just that you're meeting it for the first time. Like going on a first date, You don't know if you're gonna marry that person on that one date. So think about it. When you try many things, that is when you'll start noticing the patterns. What energizes you? What drains the energy out of you? And then slowly, clarity emerges. So take a pause, a deep, long pause, have some inner communication. You know the writer Franz Kafka? So Kafka's writing suggests that we don't find ourselves in stillness. We find ourselves by moving, even when the direction is not clear. So identity is not discovered sitting in silence. It's discovered in action. Don't think of yourself like just this one bedroom apartment. Think of yourself like this big, grand mansion with all these different rooms in it that you haven't even unlocked yet. But you still continue to stay put in that first one you entered because that is what feels the most familiar. Another question for you. How many of you have felt guilty for switching interests? Like you are head on into one thing and then maybe you wanna switch, try something else, as if changing your mind means that you have wasted your time. Let me state this very clearly. Time spent learning about yourself is never wasted. Every attempt teaches you something, even the ones that you don't continue, especially those. I actually appeared for SSB twice, didn't make it. But would I trade the experience that I got through it for anything? No, because just that in itself, the journey of that taught me so much about myself. So versatility, it only becomes a problem when we treat it like chaos. But when you structure it, it becomes adaptability. And adaptability is the most valuable skill of our time. You see, jobs will change, industries would evolve, systems would disappear. But people who can learn, unlearn, and relearn, they'll always be relevant. So if you are someone with many interests, many half-finished notebooks, many half-learned skills, you are not lost, you are not behind, you're just building range. I know what they say. Focus on one thing, don't get distracted. Jack of all trades, master of none. We have all heard that phrase, right? But I bet no one would have told you the other half of that sentence. It's actually incomplete. The whole thing goes, Jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So for some people, choosing that one thing is easy. Their mind works like that. Just because you are different from them doesn't mean that you are wrong. Life would actually be quite boring if we all unfolded the same way. Now I want you to picture this, okay? You go to this big buffet, right, with all sorts of amazing food, a very diverse menu. There's Indian, there's Chinese, continental, everything. And as you sit down on your table, you are told that you can just try one thing. You can just have one dish. Disappointing, right? So that exactly is life for you. This big buffet with so much to offer. The time that you have in your life to try everything. How would you know what you like unless you do? That's what I did as well. I tried every dish. I studied, I learned, took these different exams like I mentioned. I pursued my art. I made comics when I was just in school, made paintings for hotels and cafes. I leaned into communication, continued my social media journey, and very recently actually also became a published author of 2 different works, one of which became a bestseller on a major e-com platform within 24 hours. So thank you so much. So would I have been able to achieve all that if I stayed put in one field? And this is not to say that everything worked out in my favor, of course. Some things did, some things didn't. But the skills, the lessons that I learned along the way, they all complemented each other. My English, it helped with my exams. My discipline, my creativity went hand in hand. My art, it taught me expression. My social media journey taught me consistency by posting regularly. So nothing cancelled anything out. Over time, I built a well-rounded personality. Even though there were moments when I felt stuck, there's pressure, there's expectations, comparison. But here's what you need to know about that time. You won't always be able to control your situation, that's a fact. But what you can control is your perspective. You can either see this time as, oh, I'm falling behind, or you can see it as, I'm building depth. The choice is yours. And as for me, this is not the end of the journey, of course. I don't know if I'll fail or succeed in my future endeavors. If my own interest will stay or fade away, that's a story for another time. But I'll still keep trying. One last analogy before I go. Careers, think of them like clothes, okay? Some of them will fit you immediately like that. Some will perhaps need more trying on. Some maybe look good on other people, but not on you. Or maybe it does look good on you, just that you are not comfortable in it. Maybe sometime later you might grow out of it. Point is, don't feel guilty for trying everything, for feeling lost at times, for changing paths, for not fitting into that one linear path, one label. So if you feel lost today, just remember, you are not lost, you're just exploring fearlessly. Because 30 years down the road, failure you might regret. But what you'll certainly regret more is not trying. Thank you very much.